Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on using Google SketchUp. In this video, we're going to give you a quick overview of the SketchUp platform and show you a few settings that you would apply early in the, as you begin a project. To get started, there's two ways to get into SketchUp. The old way used to be coming over here to your Google Apps button and finding SketchUp for Schools. However, that method has proven to be a little bit troublesome for us here in our school using our Chromebooks. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to app.sketchup.com. And when we click enter, that will take us to SketchUp. Usually this takes a few seconds, maybe 5 seconds, maybe 15 to 30 seconds. Stay on the tab as that window loads. If you get impatient and you start clicking on other tabs, what we found is that kind of freezes up and locks up. All right, once you get logged in here to SketchUp, you're going to see a window that looks kind of similar to this one here. And the first time through, by the way, you're going to have to accept some of the preferences, and you'll also have to log in with your Google, log in with Google button. That you didn't see on my screen because I've already been using it. Once you do get in, though, we can come down here and you can hit Create New. All right, and then we can come up here to our main menu here, which is Open Model Preferences. We click the three lines, and that opens up this window. And you're going to see you have a bunch of options here. Some of these we're going to come back to a little later, but we're going to start today with the app settings. And under the general settings, we want to make sure that the autosave is on, like mine is, and that we have the minutes between saves set to 1 minute. Okay, I think by default yours starts out as 5. We're going to change that to 1. And that's all we're going to change on this window. We want to make sure the default template is set to architectural feet and inches because by default, I believe it is, but we keep it there. This way we're always designing in architectural units, which is what we do in this class. At the beginning of a drawing, if you had to change that, if you were going to be drawing something much smaller, like a microchip or something, you would maybe switch and move over to millimeters or something. But for our projects, we're using architectural feet and inches. All right, the other thing we want to take a look at under the app settings. Okay, under accessibility, there's nothing we need to change, but we can change the colors of the lines. If we had a situation where maybe we couldn't tell the difference between red and green very easily, you could adjust these and you can pick different colors that are visible to you. So we're gonna kind of leave those. We're gonna leave those alone, except I just changed it. So let me go back and bring that back to a red. Okay, and then under the navigation tab, we are going to switch to mouse if it's on trackpad. Okay, now using a mouse does make it much easier to use the zoom tool, the orbit tool, and the pan tool. So I recommend that you use a mouse if you have one, or if you want to borrow one from me, and then make sure you change that setting there. Okay, and then after that, you can close out that window. Okay, and those should save. The next thing you want to do is title your project. And so when you click the untitled title up at the top, it's going to give you a window to save to. So rather than saving it to our Google Drive, it automatically saves your project into SketchUp's cloud. So we're going to click that. All right, if you want to add a folder for this class, you can, although you're only going to be doing drawings in this class, so you don't necessarily need a folder. And then you're going to enter a model name. I always suggest that you start with the quint number that you're in. So, if you're in quint 5 and period, 3, you would type in a 53. So think about what quint you're in and what period you're in our class, and you can set your numbers. And I usually put a little dash, then the name of the drawing, so site analysis. Okay, and then my first name, or your first name. Okay, so you would put that in like that. Okay, And this, at least now you know what the drawing is, so that if you do multiple drawings, you'll be able to access those. Right? And then it takes a few seconds, and then that populates to the correct name. All right, and that's how we get started. All right, now just a quick overview. We have a bunch of tools over here on the left. All right, you can shuffle between tools, right, by using the up arrows and the down arrows, because there are more tools in the toolbar than you can see. Right? And as you hover over the tools, it tells you what they are. Right? So that's important to know. All right, the other thing that's important to know is by clicking on the three dots, that opens up all your extra tools. These are the tools that are not currently in the toolbar, and you can move things back and forth. So, if you're not using this tool very often and you find, it's in the way, you can move it. Okay? Or you can move tools into your toolbar, and then you can move things around too. So if you find you're using your tape measure, but you'd rather have your eraser a little higher, you can move those tools around. Right, so that's helpful. And then on the right-hand side, we have a bunch of different menus that allow us to do a variety of things, which we'll show you in future tutorials. Okay, and then just real quick, the last thing I'd like to show you is I want you to just have an understanding of the fact that we are designing in 3 dimensions. So we have an x-axis, which is red, a green axis, which is your y-axis, and then to make it 3-dimensional, we have our z-axis, which is represented in blue. You have your floor space, which here is the darker gray on my screen, and the lighter gray is like, not on paper anymore, so it's like the sky. And by default, SketchUp drops in a 6-foot tall person, and I suggest you leave the person. Sometimes it's this guy, sometimes it's someone else. The reason I like to leave the person in place is they allow you to have a better understanding of the scale of a building. So, for example, if I, had a room drawn here, and it was 6 feet tall, then he would kind of give us a better idea of how big that particular room is. So here's an example. If I had that box and I just bring that up, if I brought that up 6 inches, you can see it's not tall enough to be the room. But if I came up with it 9 more feet, okay, now to scale, that looks a bit more appropriate. All right, so that's just a quick overview. The last thing I just want to show you real quick is as you're drawing, okay, you have to make sure that you have your international keyboard turned off and set to English. If it's in Spanish, you're not going to be able to draw your lines because the apostrophe, which is the foot symbol, doesn't register if you're using the Spanish keyboard. Okay, so when you're drawing, you're clicking to start your line, you're pulling it in a certain direction, and then you just start typing. You're not going to try to put your cursor in this box to type because you can see then the line changes size and it changes the length. So you don't actually type in this window. It just tells you the dimensions of whatever it is you're drawing. All right, in the next tutorial, we're going to get you started on drawing your site analysis.